History might be Philadelphia's claim to fame, but there's a whole other side of the city where curiosity takes center stage. From cutting-edge experiments to prehistoric giants, from the mysteries of the human body to the wonders of the universe, this is science Philly style. So let's explore the weird, the wild, and the downright mind-blowing at some of the city's most fascinating museums.
And we are here at the Academy of Natural Sciences in Philadelphia of Drexel University. By the way, that music that you hear behind me happens to be an Independence Day parade and festival of Greece. So whenever you're in Philadelphia, you never know what you're going to come across. Waving the Greek flags. I will say though, whenever these parades and celebrations come about, see if you can check ahead of time if there's any celebrations, because they can make parking very, very interesting, and traffic. But that all being said, the Academy of Natural Sciences at Drexel University, one of the stalwarts of science in the city of Philadelphia. Anybody who loves dinosaurs will want to come to the Natural Academy of Sciences, or the Academy of Natural Sciences, pardon me, here at Drexel. That is quite large.
Founded in 1812, the Academy of Natural Sciences is the oldest natural history museum in all of the Americas and a pioneer in American dinosaur science. While it may not match the scale of the Smithsonian or the American Museum of Natural History in New York, Drexel's Dinosaur Hall more than holds its own, with over 30 species represented, including multiple full-scale skeletal mounts. The museum offers one of the most concentrated and diverse dinosaur exhibits on the entire East Coast. In fact, many consider it part of the Mount Rushmore Dino Museums this side of the Mississippi.
A lot of times we consider dinosaurs just to be the old, big, huge things, including the ones in the water. But apparently, ichthyosaurs and mosasaurs, mosasaurs and plesiosaurs were kind of like the sharks and whales and other sea creatures of the time, but they were not dinosaurs, they were not lizards. But it's amazing just to think about the evolution of Earth over time, the changes of Earth over time, allowing for different types of life to thrive at different times, which was necessary for us to have the fossil fuels that we would need to develop advanced civilization. And then again, not all dinosaurs were huge. This is a skull, well, the cast of a skull. With any museum, you have to make sure you don't touch the specimens because these dinosaurs may bite. A very apt warning to all visitors. This here is a Torosaurus. Now this is a little bit different than a Triceratops. It has the horns coming out, but they were very different from Triceratops skulls that had been found otherwise. So, just like different species, related genuses in the genera, in the animal kingdom today, same thing with dinosaurs. The more specimens that we find, the more differences can be found and then classified differently. And there's a plastic dinosaur. I always find the two types of full circle moments. The one being the plastic dinosaurs are actually made of dinosaurs, since plastics are made from oil, and oil is a fossil fuel which would have come from the decomposition of dinosaur bodies over the eons. And then the other are dino nuggets, since chickens are the modern descendants of dinosaurs, as are all birds, but as chickens are. And so when you eat chicken nuggets in the shape of dinosaurs, you could say that dino nuggets are made from real dinosaurs. Fun. An interactive time machine. You can go through various stages. Sometimes can be hard to fathom, and we just lump all dinosaurs together. Different types of dinosaurs over time. Which is really neat and interesting, because for us, just a few thousand years seems a long period of time. So the gaps of millions of years and hundreds of millions of years between one group of dinosaurs and another, where really, yes, the difference in time between Stegosaurus and T-Rex is a bigger difference in time than between T-Rex and us. And this is a Triceratops skull. You notice the difference here between this and the one earlier. Horns going out farther apart, and the frill in the back being significantly different.
Meet the Corythosaurus. This duck-billed dinosaur had sharp hearing and large hollow chambers in the crest of its skull. Paleontologists think these hollow chambers may have made low, horn-like sounds to communicate with others in the species. It's important to realize that we don't know for sure what dinosaurs actually sounded like. Research is ongoing and based on lots of educated guesses.
Ice dinosaurs. This is finding fossils in the Arctic. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean, obviously, that these were dinosaurs that were living in Arctic conditions. No. The climate of the Earth has changed in cycles over the eons, over the millions and millions of years. Plate tectonics, the Earth itself has moved over millions and millions of years. And now, although climate change is something that is not helpful in many ways, some ways it allows access to finding fossils in other ways that would not have been available before. You got some neat animatronics up here. How dinosaurs can be aged based on their bones. How old a particular dinosaur was when it died. This is pretty neat. The sounds. And as we get to know more about dinosaurs, we get to recognize more than just their scaly skin. Just like birds and other types of animals, could have been other uses for feathers or fur. As we find more in fossils of feathery and fur-like substances mixed in with them, there becomes a preponderance of evidence that these dinosaurs were not just simply scaly lizards. At least not all of them.
Dinosaurs not only survived, but thrived in cooler settings.
Well, proven to be wrong.
Thank you for joining us today. This exhibition illustrates our current understanding regarding ice dinosaurs. But there is so much more to be learned. Perhaps you'll be part of the next generation of paleontologists. If so, we greatly look forward to seeing your discoveries.
Again, the more we think we know, the less we know, because we're always learning. And like good scientists, there are always going to be questions not yet answered. Scientists, when they discover evidence and develop hypotheses and theories, they don't always have all of the answers, but they know that these questions still have to be answered. As is the same about Arctic dinosaurs. Dinosaurs are such fascinating creatures. It would be really, really neat to go back in time just to see them in action. But then again, had that be the case, I'd be dead. So, is it worth it? No, because I'd be dead. I'd either be eaten or crushed or be infected by some disease that a human immune system is not capable of fighting off.
While dinosaurs are definitely the star attraction here, the museum also touches on the cosmos above and the creatures that still roam the Earth today. From ancient meteorites to massive moose, there's a little something to remind you that science isn't just about the past, it's also about the world around us.
This here is a meteorite that landed in Arizona. The Barringer Meteorite Crater, also known as Meteorite Crater, or Meteor Crater. You can visit Meteor Crater in Arizona. We did that. If you travel down Route 66, actually, you're not going to be very far off. But you can visit Meteor Crater, a giant chasm in the Earth for where the meteor actually struck, and then learn all about how they discovered that it was a meteor as opposed to a volcanic event that created the giant hole in the ground. Really neat place. Beavers to deer and squirrels to bobcats and possums. All sorts of different animals portrayed of what their natural habitat would have been or is. A moose. I'd like to see a moose someday. I'm sure I will. Our one visit to Maine was quite elusive. Saw remnants of a moose, but not quite a moose. Polar bear. I do not want to meet one of these guys face to face. Not in the least, because that would mean certain death. We're going to check out the Mutter Museum, or is it the Mutter Museum, or the Mutter Museum? Not quite up to date on my German pronunciations, or Germanic pronunciations. Here at the College of Physicians of Philadelphia, we're going to check out some medical oddities. The development of medicine, odd medical devices. Some founders, 1787. You'll notice some prominent names. Benjamin Rush, in particular. They have histories of vaccines, peak cases, associated syndromes and complications, the development of vaccines over time as well. But once we go inside the Mutter Museum, there is no photography. There are human remains inside, so out of respect, no photography. And as it says right here, no photography or video based on human remains. So I'll see you on the other side. So we're here at the Mutter Museum. Spent about 45-50 minutes in here. Could have spent significantly longer just looking at all of the displays. Quick note, thank you. Quick note of clarification. This is not a museum of medical oddities and devices and things like that. But no, this is medical research as performed through the use of studying human bodies. So there are, why they have no photography or videography inside is because they're for ethical considerations and reasons. There are human displays, human bones, human skulls, human diseases, human skin, human muscles, human organs, tumors, fetuses, all sorts of different things demonstrating the various types of conditions, how things were treated and then studied in the earlier days of modern medicine, because that's how you would learn. I'll try to put a little bit of B-roll on here of some of the other exhibits that I asked if I could video when I was granted permission to do so. For some of the other displays, but nothing that would demonstrate, that would show human or any type of living material or formerly living material. They have skin from tattoos. They have samples of Einstein's brain, and actually a display about what they found different about his brain, which is quite fascinating. A tumor removed from President Grover Cleveland. All sorts of specimens of gigantism and dwarfism, but then a large display of human skulls, which was part of a project to determine that the idea of phrenology, which would be individual like bumps or fissures or different things on the skull itself, does not contribute to mental capacity. So he had skulls were gathered from all around the world, all sorts of different races, different sizes, different shapes, and ultimately found that yes, while some differences in the shape of a skull on the inside could affect the shape of the brain, and with the shape of the brain could affect some different things, the vast majority, we're all the same. We're all human, we're all the same. It does force you to ask and potentially try to answer some interesting questions, such as what makes a human a human? From a physical standpoint, yes, but then from a mental standpoint in the brain, what are the differences of human skulls from other primate skulls, and then the ability of the human brain to do things with abstract thinking and second order thinking, and with brains that are able to do so much different than other primate brains. Fascinating visit. If you ever are down this way, anybody who's interested in medicine, science, doesn't get grossed out by human exhibits and human remains, there are displays as to how consent is and the differences between science research in that time versus what science research is now, and the ethical considerations and concerns. Great visit here at the Mütter Museum at the College of Physicians in Philadelphia.
And just up the road is the most famous of Philly's science museums, the Franklin Institute. Not a tribute to Franklin's own discoveries, but to the spirit of innovation and curiosity that he championed, the kind that keeps science moving forward.
Liquid Air Show, but 90 years ago, this show is called the Science and Magic Show. We're going to cover every single thing in the universe. We're going to talk about everything in the universe. It's going to take about 90 years of your life. You take home, make sure it stays closed this time. I got some corks, and I got a mouth here. Okay, I'm going to do it. Here we go. So I close it up. There we go. I did it harder. There we go. So I did it twice. You're going to take this home and 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, that's a bit cork. One. Huh!
This aircraft, the Bud BB-1 Pioneer aircraft, has been on display at the Franklin Institute since 1935. That's pretty impressive. The Franklin Air Show. It's all about air pressure, lift, drag, aerodynamics, and the science and innovation of them. See, these aren't necessarily the history of these things, but science and innovation. But, speaking of history, there is an original 1911 Model B by the Wright brothers. After their 1903 successful flight, the 1911 Model B was their first airplane that was mass-produced. This was actually purchased and flown multiple times in Philadelphia
by Grover Cleveland Bergdahl, who then donated it to the Franklin Institute in 1934. That's pretty cool. You can notice that the Wright brothers were bicycle workers. Those look like bicycle tires. I don't know how well you can see this with the brightness, but scientists are given the opportunity to bring a small number of things with them to space. About the size of a shoebox to take personal items. These are ideas of what Franklin Institute staff members would want to take on a years-long journey. When you think about what to pack, there's a significant difference between packing to go to the moon versus packing to go to Mars. Just the sheer distance separating the two. So if we were to send astronauts to Mars, it would take 3 years, although a mission to the moon would take about 3 weeks. Nine months to travel from the Earth, 9 months to travel home, 6 months on the surface. This part of the Franklin Institute is fascinating, not just obviously because of people who enjoy space and space exploration, but the general idea of if we were to create habitations on other worlds, searching for other life, or whatever the case is for scientific experiment and scientific understanding, then there are different technologies and different things that would be necessary to take into account in order to make those things happen. How do you design rovers? How do you keep rovers warm or cool because of the different atmospheric conditions, and then how motors are used? So all aspects of science and engineering and technology are necessary for any of these advances. And then what does that mean for how we need to redesign engines to more efficiently make missions beyond the moon? If flashing lights and high-pitched sounds get to you, this section of the space section is all about electromagnetic rays and how electromagnetic waves just fill the universe. From low energy to higher energy. Radio waves, ultraviolet rays, gamma rays. So cool. You can feel the different rays. Gamma rays, infrared, and microwaves. In terms of their frequency and amplitude, how much energy they have. It's really cool.
No, give me my planet! No, my planet! I took your planet! No, let me keep my planet! No, stop it! Let me keep my planet. What do you have mine? No, don't steal mine! We're stepping in other people's planet. Okay, please tell my planet so there's no Yo, I
This meteorite is the oldest thing you'll ever touch. This also, from Meteor Crater, gives you any idea as to how large that meteor was that struck in Arizona. Chunks and pieces of it everywhere. The sports zone here at the Franklin Institute is fantastic. So many different types of sports and activities demonstrating the use of science and how science is involved with bodily motion, with health, with bodily injury prevention. A lot of kids in here, so I'm not going to film a lot of these exhibits, but fantastic. Training your brain, developing reaction time. And how fast professionals have to react. It's pretty cool. Baseball batters have to react a lot faster than this. 90-mile-an-hour fastball from 60 feet 6 inches away. It's a lot faster than that. Into the body odyssey. The gallery of the biosciences. This is all about immunity, microbiomes within the gut, the mouth, germs, and the giant heart. I almost said the giant life-size heart. That is much larger than a life-size heart. Although, from what we saw of the giant colon inside the Mütter Museum, this is still significantly larger. That large intestine colon was 40 pounds itself. This is significantly larger. A walk-through heart. Go inside and follow the path of the blood. Duck. I'm about 5'7". There's some parts you gotta duck in. Some steps. Go through the right atrium. And the right ventricle.
I'm not running. I stopped and I was walking.
Gets a little tight. Pulmonary valve. The main pulmonary artery. The aorta. From up here you get a good view. Inside the lungs. Oxygen exchange. And the human body is so fascinating. And really, frankly, it's not just the human body, it is any type of bioorganism. No matter the size, big, small, dinosaur size, amoeba size. So fascinating. And then back up the steps. And then leaving the heart out to the rest of the body. I don't know how well you can hear it, but there's some just basic ethereal music playing, but there is a beat, and it makes you feel like a heartbeat. Here's an exhibit of the different systems working together: skeletal, musculatory, circulatory, and muscular. Interesting exhibit about AI, artificial intelligence, and how AI can help doctors. How they can help gather all of these data points faster than humans can calculate to help doctors analyze situations, solve problems, come up with solutions. Even have dissections, mystery dissections, planetarium on site as well, in addition to live science labs like we've seen.
From the heart that keeps us alive to the brain that helps us think, feel, and explore, the journey through the human body continues upstairs.
What it's doing? Nothing special. A brain at rest. So even when your brain is doing nothing, it is always working. Bundle of neurons. Bundle of nerves from a squid. It's easy to dissect because it is so large. A 1,000 times thicker than a human neuron. Can climb the brain. Flashing lights. This is obviously a play area to climb. The floor is spongy. Spongy. Ooh. You step on these. The brain is such a fascinating, it's perhaps the most amazing thing in the universe, in my opinion, is the brain. And a human brain. But again, the question is, what makes a human a human? What makes a human a person? Is it simply the presence of a brain? Can your personality affect your brain? Can your brain affect your personality? I think the answer to both of those questions is yes. How do they work together? That is an interesting question. As I was saying, you form connections every time you learn something, and then certain pathways fade away, including your experiences. This is a 3D print of diffusion tensor imaging data from the brain of a 40-year-old man. No such thing as multitasking. You always do multiple things poorly as opposed to one thing well.
Choose a word from the group you see on the screen here. Any word. Now say the color of the word aloud. Go. Right now your brain is firing off in many different directions. It's working very hard to focus on saying the color versus reading the word. That's because the color you see and the words you're reading don't match. This confuses your brain. It creates a delay.
Brain pathways and optical illusions. The trick of the eye, really confusion of the brain. When the upside down face is this way, it looks normal because your brain sees it as normal. But when you actually turn it around, you'll see that it's upside down and it's definitely not normal. Sections on illusions, physics, light, interactive usage. Flashing strobe lights inside, faster or slower to change how lights are flashing. Really interesting because then it brings insight into how the brain works and how we see things and how our brain makes up for things from the typical usual things that aren't there when we decide to trick our brain. Moving gears. Power and early scientific innovation. In the development of machines, some of the basic simple machines, pulleys, screws, springs, become components into complex machines. And oftentimes, it's the components of inventions that we don't think of, because it's the inventions themselves, whether it's the light bulb, the phonograph, the combustion engine, whatever the case is, that gets all the glory. But it's developing and utilizing the knowledge from these simple structures that bring everything else into play. Chain reactions with dominoes. You could start your own chain reactions with dominoes and set it all the way from the start to the finish. Music boxes. Old music boxes in the 1800s. Turning cylinders. Songs programmed by carefully spacing tiny little cams on a rotating disc. I don't know if you could see those. There you go. Carefully placing those on there so that it strikes accordingly. Plucking a comb, producing a musical tone. And that is ultimately how music boxes worked. This is just a much larger scenario. You can position the wheel these different inventions, portions of inventions. Thomas Edison, Benjamin Franklin, many, many others here available. Then here, Benjamin Franklin's tea set.
Did you?
And a heart pump.
Be careful, you don't want to go. There's no more track.
Modern bifocals. So many different things. Telescopes.
Where's Ben hiding? So cool. This stuff is so cool.
Telegraphs. Telephones down there. Navigation equipment. The Franklin Institute is a fantastic place for children, for adults alike. To see a model of the Strasbourg astronomical clock, how intricate it is. Which is in the Wanamaker building here in Philadelphia.
Starving? Okay, do you want to have some more apples and mandarin bread?
But of course, the Baldwin Locomotive. Some early bicycles, team bicycles. But fascinating for adults and kids. The hands-on exhibits, the parts of the exhibits, and they're not just for kids. They're for adults with their kids, but they're for adults that also just enjoy being fascinated by how the body works, how science works, how space works, engineering and electricity, the things with optical illusions and your eyes and your brains. And then, of course, if you love trains, I mean, you just walk right on in. Definitely a highlight of a trip to to come to the Franklin Institute, in addition to everything else Philadelphia has to offer. In the Benjamin Franklin Museum, you can play a digital copy of one of his harmonicas. This here is his harmonica. Musical instrument Benjamin Franklin invented. Other artifacts from, again, Thomas Edison. Complete to an Apple printer. The history of innovation, science, technology, for all of its uses. A fascinating place. Highly encourage a visit to the Franklin Institute. Highly encourage a visit to any of these science museums here in Philadelphia. The Academy of Natural Sciences by Drexel, and also the Mutter Museum, the Benjamin Franklin Museum, all of them. Fantastic.
Whether it's walking through a giant heart, staring down a T-Rex, or standing in the footsteps of scientific giants, Philadelphia invites you to explore the wonders of the world with curiosity and awe. From the past to the present, from the body to the cosmos, these museums remind us that discovery is always just around the corner. If you've enjoyed this journey through Philly's most fascinating science spots, be sure to like, subscribe, and check out our full series exploring this historic and innovative city, and we'll see you in the next one.